Hello. So today we are going to see the internship assignment task for MERN stack developer. You can see the task is pretty simple. We just have to build a simple task management application using Next.js with server actions. User should be able to create, view, edit, and delete any tasks. Okay. So here is my simple application. You can see in which I have add a new task which will represent our create functionality, fetching the task from the database to the Next.js frontend, which is our reading functionality. Then we have a delete and edit functionality. Okay. So what is server actions? So basically server actions is nothing. Server actions is like we can perform our backend functionality in the front end itself by using Next.js server actions. So here I have written my server action for create, read, update, edit, and delete the task. Let's move ahead. So task operations should be create, read, update, delete. Mark task as completed and incomplete. So here you can see, suppose HR on task, currently this task is incompleted. So when I will click on this checkbox and so the task status updated successfully is shown and now task is marked as completed. In the API section, if you see, Next.js is sending in post API to the database. Okay, so basically in the API we have a data which is our completed field, and now it is true. And if I remove this checkbox, again an API will be called, and in that API you can see completed is now false. So here we implemented our marked incomplete and complete also, and basic task details like title, description, and due date. You can see this is our title, and this is our description, and this is our due date. Let's go ahead. And data persistency using MongoDB, error handling, and loading scripts. So here you can see internship data, project development, and HR on. We have three data right now, three tasks right now. Okay, so you can see here are the three fields. Let me refresh it. So here are only three fields, from which two are true and one is false, which is our HR round. So two are true and one is false. Let's create a new field and see what's happened. So you can see task created successfully. A toast is shown in the front end, and we have our demo of the project. Here a simple demo for the assignment and due date. A new task has been created. Now you can go and see the API section for it. We have sent a post API with the status 200 because it has been successful. And in the payload, you can see we have shared the details of the task. So in this completed section is currently false, description, due date, and title. In the backend, now we will be having four tasks. This is the new task. So now let's see our edit functionality. If I go to edit this task, just let's fix these typos. Here, the and and change the date to the 12th. And now update task. Task updated successfully. In localhost, you can see now we have updated description, updated date, updated due date, and updated title. And completed is still now false. In the backend, if you go and reload it once again, so you can see we have everything updated in the backend also. Sorry, not in the backend, in the database also. So now let's see how these server functions are actually working. Before it, let's see how we can delete a task. So one thing more, see due date. Here is the 9, here is the 9, here is the 12, and here is the 14. So basically, our tasks are being sorted on the basis of due date in the front end, and then only they are projected here. Okay, let's delete this. And by doing this, we just simply delete, and this is also post API. So the point is server actions of Next.js always uses post only. Whether you create, whether you read, or whether you delete, or update even, it will always use post only. And in the backend also the task will be deleted right now. Deleted. Let's go ahead and see the backend, see the code now. So in the code, you can see I have task form. So in the task form means this simple add a new task dialog box is our task form. So here in the task form, I am using ShatCN for the component and Tailwind CSS for styling. So here is our simple form to fill the details of a task, and then we are handling the form. In handle submit, you can see we are preventing the default functionality of the form. We are just creating a new object with all the details which we got right now from the front end, from that form basically. And then we are calling a server action function. So in this server action function, if you go and see create task, so here is our server action function, which is our asynchronous function, because we are gonna call database, we are gonna use database queries in server action function itself. That's why we put it async. Okay, kept it async. So now we are omitting task ID. So basically, we don't have to create any task ID. MongoDB will create a new task ID for each new task in the backend itself or in the MongoDB itself. Okay. So here we are connecting our database. So basically, you can see here, first I'm connecting my client MongoDB through these clients. So Mongo client will be stored in client. And then I'm just connecting this client to the client promise. By doing this, I'm having a instance, a single instance of this MongoDB connection. And this single instance I can use everywhere in my whole project, anywhere I want to. So basically here I'm just invoking that single instance by this client promise. And then in my client promise, client inside my client database will be there. And in that database, I will be having a collection, which is tasks. So basically in my database, I am having a collection, task manager database, I am having collection tasks. In this task, I am just storing everything. So here I connected this collection task. Now let's move ahead. So here I'm adding my new data. So by using insert one query, spreading the all the details like title, description, due, and due date of the task, just handling due date separately so that we can have a date type component. So basically, if you see in my tasks, you can see I have given due date as a date type component. That's why I have converted it into the date type. Let's go back to the task form. Okay. So now this is done in create task. One new task has been created in our backend. Now we are just revalidating the path. By doing revalidate path, we are just updating this task list so that new task should be visible. Suppose add a task. I already shown you. Demo, demo, so this update in the task field is because of our revalidate path. Instead of using use effect on it, we are just directly using revalidate path. This is a functionality provided by Next.js itself to fetches the updated data of the particular component. Okay. So if it is successful, we are returning a success message and status as true. Otherwise, we are catching the error and handling it. Okay. That's the pretty much. Now let's go to our edit functionality. Suppose you click on edit and our edit dialog box opened right now. So basically this is our update task functionality. So if you want to go and see in update task, same, I have created a simple form structure. In this form structure, I'm handling the submit button. Same as it is like add task, we are just taking new data and storing in the update task. And then we are just calling our edit task server action. So here, let's go. In our actions folder, we have edit task server action, in which we are partial. This partial means suppose some data has been updated. Suppose this description has been updated. This title was same. Title was kept the same and due date was kept the same. So this partial will allow us to let some data is accepted and rather on other data should be optional. This part should provide us that functionality. It is our utility type in TypeScript. That's why I'm using it. Then omit is also an utility type which allows us to omit a particular field. So we don't have to update underscore ID field of the task. That's why we are omitting it. Now we are just initializing our connection to the database collection, and here we are validating whether the ID which is passed to us is valid or not. If it is valid, then this result query will be run. So basically, in result, you can see we are storing uh, a updated field of the task. So basically, update one functionality we are calling, and we are just sending the ID of the task which we want to update and new details of the task. And hence our task is updated. Then we are just returning a success message if the task has been updated correctly. Otherwise, any error will come. We will be catching and handling it in the error catch section. So you have seen uh, this update functionality also. Now coming to delete functionality. So here it's updated automatically, you can see. So here we have a delete functionality also in our server action. And you can see again we are connecting the database and then we are just doing a delete one functionality on the basis of ID. So if you go and see. So when we deleted, we had an API call. In payload, we have given our ID. So this ID only we will use here and delete the task in the backend from the database. It will be three tasks only. Okay, so delete functionality. Now we should see our update task functionality. By update task functionality, we just have to mark a task as completed or not completed. Okay, so for that we don't need due date, ID, title, and description fields of particular task. We just need this completed field of a task, which is Boolean, true or false. So we are just going to handle our completed field. So that's why I'm omitting all these fields. And here I'm connecting my collection again, database again, suppose. And then in collection, you can see I'm just doing update one single file we have to update on the basis of ID. We will find which particular task we have to update, and we will be setting our updated field, which is our completed as true or completed as false. And then we will be revalidating the path, like revalidate path, so that this UI should be updated automatically. This UI should be updated automatically. And if it is successful, obviously we are returning success. Otherwise, we are handling the error in the catch section. So by the simple server action, I created this get task so that we can show these all tasks here. Then we have our create, update, edit, and delete server actions. And simply by using all these, we have our whole functionality here. Suppose let's try. So here for the date for these all components, I'm using ShadCN, and for all the styling, I'm using Tailwind CSS. And for the backend and front end, both I'm using Next.js. So as it is mentioned that for front end use Next.js latest version, I'm using that only. Next.js server action for backend, I'm using server action for the backend. Database MongoDB and deployment through Vercel. And these are the evaluation criteria for the particular task. And they said just focus on not focus on design and focus on core functionality mode. So we have our task completed, and I hosted it also. Let me show you. You can go to my GitHub and check all these projects if you want to see how they work. And here is my hosted. So this is my hosted website. So we just have to directly host the task to the Vercel. We don't have to create separate hosting services for backend and frontend. Within a one section, we can host both. So here also we can use each and every functionality properly. So that's all. I hope so you understood the task and what they were asking. and how Next.js server action works. One thing which is very important that Next.js server action always uses post API for anything, for getting, for putting, and for deleting, and also for posting the data. They always use only one method, which is post method of the HTTP. Thank you.